two, one. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today I'm here with my good old buddy Boris, all the way from Croatia. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing okay. So last week we went on about Blood Creek. Was it Blood Creek Woodsman?
Yes, yes.
Well, this week I figured we'd go on about 2009's Blood Creek. It was filmed in 2009 by Joel Schumacher. Before we go into our first impressions, I just figured I'd go on about what IMDb says about the film. A man and his brother, on a mission of revenge, become trapped in a harrowing occult experiment dating back to the Third Reich. So, Joel Schumacher, he's done quite a few films over time, but I guess he directed The Incredible Shrinking Woman from 1981, DC Cab from 1983, St. Elmo's Fire, The Lost Boys, Flatliners from 1990, The Client, which I remember seeing back in 1994 at the drive-in, which I saw along with what was it, The Mask, and what was the other film? Oh, The Lion King. So I saw The Lion King, The Mask, and The Client all in the same night at the drive-in.
Wow.
But he also did Batman Forever, Time to Kill, Batman and Robin, 8mm, Flawless, Tigerland, Bad Company, Phone Booth, The Phantom of the Opera, the number 23. These are all he did before this film. So, I'm just going to show you my copy of the film. Picked mine up at Walmart, probably for about $10. Bought it in 2009. But I want to know what your first impressions of this film were. You were kind of confused, weren't you?
Yes, I must say I found this movie a bit confusing. Maybe that's not the movie's fault, but mine, because as you know, I kind of have focus issues, and when there are some scenes when some things are unclear, I never know if it's unclear because it's supposed to be explained later, or because I missed something that I should have noticed. Also, in this movie, there is a lot of dark scenes. I mean, visually dark, where it's a bit difficult to distinguish what's happening, who is running after whom, and things like that. And there were some things in the plot that confused me as well. So, yeah, I found it confusing.
And that was the first time that you watched it this morning. But after watching it a second time with me, what are your thoughts on it again?
Well, the second time I saw it, it was a little clearer, I guess. But yeah, well, once you know what's going on, it's a bit easier to follow, and it's exciting enough. But I personally wish it was made to be easier to follow the first time you're watching it as well, if you see what I mean.
Oh yeah,
But
I see what you mean.
like I said, maybe that's just my problem. Maybe someone who doesn't have focus issues like I do, maybe they wouldn't have the same problem that I did. Mm,
So, I guess I should tell you a little bit about the history of this film. I guess it was originally known as Creek, then it was changed to Town Creek, and then it was for marketing sake changed to Creek.
oh,
And like I said, the film was directed by Joel Schumacher. I saw this once, watched it once, picked it up, bought it on a whim. Uh, found it. I think I found it at Take Two at the time, which eventually became Megamedia here in Milwaukee, and picked it up for. Originally, I thought I had actually bought this um, a Walmart because there's a Walmart sticker on here. But I don't think I picked it up at Walmart. I actually think I found it at a used store for like about $4. So
cool.
now that I remember, and that was a good price. so, um,
Pretty much.
but I remember that there was a lot going on in this film at the time that I watched it. I as well thought that it was relatively dark, and there was a lot going on that I didn't fully pay attention to. I thought the character that was brought about was a little bit like Darkman and like Hellraiser put together in a sense because it has a lot to do with blood. But this time around, I liked it better because I was actually paying attention to it.
Makes sense.
Probably more so that I could probably explain some of the parts that you weren't understanding. so, but we have the story of two brothers. One has been left behind for, I guess, 2 years. That his brother went to Iraq and he never came back. And I guess somewhere in here there's kind of a story where supposedly he was out in some woods or supposedly came back, and his brother was shouting to him. We see this in kind of a flashback later on, and but he's taking care of his father, who treats him like shit because he should have been the hero that his brother was. Yada yada yada, and I guess he kind of somewhat takes care of his brother's kids while this
Yeah.
is all going on. So, what do you think about Evan as a character?
Well, he seems like an okay guy, although, at least as far as I could see, we only got bits and pieces of each character's backstory. It's at least I personally got the impression that they didn't put too much emphasis on fleshing each character out and giving them very specific personalities.
Well, we actually start the film. The film starts with a flashback of the past from like 1936, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where apparently a family by the last name of the Woolners. Apparently, they are a German family living in Town Creek, West Virginia, where they have gotten a letter, apparently from the Third Reich, that a professor of history by the name of Ricard Worth, is going to be arriving and going to be living with them, and it is because of a stone symbol that they found on their farm, evidently, which
Uh,
we don't learn right away, but we learn in passing because of the professor showing up out of the blue and saying, "Yeah, you've got this stone symbol, right?" And he's like, "How do you know that?" You know?
yeah, and from what I understood, they never even explained how he knew it.
No, which is
Mm,
often it goes with the territory of espionage and stuff like that. That I mean, a lot of things are kept in the dark as far as Nazi secrets and shit
uh,
like that. But apparently, this professor has come with some books that are very strange, and this German family, has a young daughter at the age of 12 that ends up being an unsuspected, I guess, victim later on, as we learn, um, and because this character of Worth, he apparently has knowledge of the occult, um, and apparently we get a small moment where there is like this bird that has died that is in the possession of the young Lisa Wolner, um, and he has the bird wink at her by say like evidently he words some kind of incantation, and the bird moves and winks at her for a moment. What do you think about this moment?
well, actually, before I knew the character's true intentions, it seemed kind of cute at first, but then we found out that he had much more sinister intentions than he originally made it seem. So,
Oh yeah, but that's when we go into apparently Evan. When we first meet him, he seems to be like an EMT, an emergency driver to um, I guess the Town Creek Hospital or whatever, because we see him on the scene of a evidently a man is lying on the ground and a woman comes out screaming out of the out of from whatever house. She's waving around a gun and she seems to be talking to the air, and all of a sudden we see an explosion, and then we see Evan like evidently coming home from that particular shift. So we see a basically a day in his life where he comes home, seems like he takes care of his father. His father doesn't very much like him. He doesn't seem to remember much that things have done, and apparently,
well, I actually, unless I misunderstood something, I got the impression that the father had dementia or something like that.
I got the impression that he had something like that too, and it's possible that because of his brother's disappearance is maybe why it started his downfall and why he only remembers certain things. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it is what is, and I guess he's got to deal with that kind of shit day in day out, where his father just only remembers his brother, the hero, and um, he um, and apparently he is being that father figure for his niece and nephew. Um, because apparently he had almost forgotten about taking them out for Halloween trick or treating.
Yeah.
But he ends up going to sleep that night and wakes up to a long, stringy-haired man shaking him awake after he. And I think this is where we get the dream sequence, where he's searching for his brother. He seems to hear him, and he definitely knows that he tried to find him. But he was unsuccessful. But when he wakes up, it's his brother, and he basically tells him nobody can know I am alive. I can't really tell you much, but you need to follow me and help me. And it's basically kind of like he's asking them to drop everything like a hat and gather up whatever weapons he can and follow him. You know. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about this moment of meeting his brother?
Well, I found it kind of strange. That's when things started to get confusing to me because we got to know as much as Evan knew, and Evan didn't know much. His brother seemed to know more or less what was going on, but Evan didn't, and so we didn't either. I also found it a bit confusing that his brother showed up so all of a sudden precisely after the things about him were discussed with the father, with the brother's wife, and so on. I was like, what is going on here?
Well, apparently there was a little bit more of the story that we were not disclosed about to show. So um, they end up going in a boat, apparently, and they pass a woman and a child in front of a missing pictures thing, which kind of comes into play later as there's a man in a container that has also been picked up, not too recently, and that apparently Evan finds. And Evan is played by Henry Cavill, and this is pre-Superman and Batman versus Superman. Uh, so it's interesting seeing him in this kind of a role where he is the main character, and yet it's like his brother is kind of like the reason why he's out there, you know.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty cool in Man of Steel. I remember him from there.
So I guess what his brother does is he evidently takes him to the edge of a farm where it looks like there's a father, it looks like there's a wife, it looks like there's a son, and I guess Evan learns later that there is a daughter that is all living on this farm, and um, I guess at this moment it is where brother, um, his brother's name is Victor, and Victor is played by Dominic Purcell. And Dominic Purcell, he's played in Blade Trinity, Killer Elite. He played in Prison Break for a time. I guess he's played on Batwoman for one episode. Arrow on one episode. I guess he plays Mick Rory in the DC universe. Guess he played in a movie called Isolation, Gridlocked, Abandoned, The Bagman, The Gansfield Haunting, In the Name of the King, The Last Mission, Vikingdom, Bad Karma, Hijacked, Straw Dogs, the remake. And those are all after this one. But he played in The Grave Dancers, which I believe was an 8 Films to Die For film. He played in Equilibrium, a sci-fi movie as Seamus. And I guess he played in the Beastmaster series. And he played in Mission Impossible 2. Yeah. I mean, he played in a bunch more stuff, but that's pretty much where some of us might have seen him from. If you guys wanted to look his filmography up or whatnot. But he plays Vincent here. What do you think about Vincent as a character?
Wait, you mean Victor?
Yeah, Victor. He plays Victor.
Yeah. Well, he seemed at first, like most things in the movie, he seemed a bit confusing to me. But yeah, at one point I wondered if he was a good guy or a bad guy, but he turned out to be okay in the end. Like there are these moments when he seems a bit morally gray, like he's telling Evan to shoot someone, and Evan doesn't want to do it and doesn't even know why exactly he is required to do something like that. So yeah, I guess Victor is a character you're supposed to question a bit before things start to unravel. Uh,
Definitely. What Evan doesn't know is that this family probably helped capture Victor and use him and use his blood to strengthen this character of worth for his occult reasons, which we learn a little bit later on, because evidently the knowledge that Lisa has acquired over time. Eventually, they find a man in a container, like I said before, and this man, I believe, is played by Shea Wiggum. I guess his name is Luke Benny in here. And I guess they bring him to the house, and then Mr. Wallner evidently comes back, and then his vehicle ends up breaking into the place in which they had locked up and trapped the Richard Worth character in order to keep him from his blood destiny, which apparently the Nazis, in their occult wisdom, believe that eventually one could acquire what is called the third eye, which by the path of blood, I guess, if you acquire enough blood on during the lunar eclipse, I guess, you can acquire this third eye and step over into the dimension of hell and control some immortal power of sorts. I guess have power over life and death.
uh, I guess something like that. It was
So,
another part that I didn't quite understand.
and what do you think about that theory that one can acquire this kind of thing? See, Richard Worth is like this character, like all dressed in black, and he's all bandaged up, and that's why I think he kind of reminds me of like Darkman, because Darkman was dressed in black, and his face was bandaged, so it kind of reminded me of that.
uh,
Or even similar to like the Invisible Man, except this man wasn't invisible once he took off his wrappings.
well, actually, this character with the whole thing about keeping himself alive by paranormal means and being all deformed as a result of that, it rather reminded me of Voldemort from Harry Potter.
That's a
Mm.
possibility, like something in between like Darkman and Voldemort.
I guess.
But in any case, what do you think about the character of Richard Worth?
uh, well, I also find him a bit confusing. There was a lot about him that I didn't really end up understanding. Yeah, I guess he wanted to live forever or something like that. But what I didn't understand, at least the first time I watched it, was so he came to this family and he took advantage of them. But once they realized what was going on, when they somehow managed to imprison him, why did they keep providing blood for him if they actually supposedly wanted to get rid of him? Why didn't they just leave him imprisoned until he died or something?
Because I imagine that I imagine that the entrapment of this creature that Richard Worth became was actually rather recent, because it took years for at least Lisa Woolner to who Lisa Woolner is played by Emma Booth, which she's very pretty. Um,
Yeah.
she was in Once Upon a Time of the series. Let's see. She was in Bush Patrol. She was in the Sharknet. She was in uh, Who Killed Dr. Boggle and Mrs. Chandler in a TV movie documentary as Pamela Logan. A movie called Introducing the Dwights. Uh, and The Boys Are Back in Three Acts of Murder, a TV movie. Before she was in Blood Creek. I guess after this, she was in Blood. She was in a series called Underbelly. I guess she was in a movie called Parker. She was in a TV movie called Gothica. I guess she was in a couple of movies called Jack Irish. One called Bad Debts and one called Dead Point. I guess she was in Gods of Egypt as Nephthys, Hounds of Love, Extinction from 2018. But she was in Once Upon a Time, the series, as Mother Gothel and Eloise Gardner. I guess she was in a short film called Proxy, and recently, I guess she's going to be in a movie called Hippie Hippie Shake, which is an account of counterculturalist Richard Neville's misadventures in London at the end of the 1960s. But in any case, Oh, what did you think about Lisa as a character?
Well, as you say, she was rather pretty, and I guess she is one of the more tragic characters of this story. Uh, uh, so, as far as I understood, she was the first victim of this guy, Wirt. From what I understood, he started to feed on her blood first, and she had those scars on her back and so on.
Yep.
Mm,
And I guess her brother stepped in, and some of the rest of her family as well. I guess to help protect her from that. And then they just started providing victims. I guess over time, and I guess some of the missing child reports that were there. I guess some of them actually died. To you know, and they said that they were doing it to protect him from doing more harm to others. So they were the victims that they provided or helped provide were to stem him from killing thousands. So I guess that was part of it. Part of why they hadn't starved him. They weren't sure of the whole thing. I mean, they might have had an idea of everything, but they probably didn't have the courage to enact it without the brothers coming there to begin with. So when the brothers showed up, at first they thought they were doomed, but using the idea of the fact that evidently a armor of bones of his ancestors. These were bones that evidently that Lisa had actually created and locked up in part of the barn. Evidently, anyone wearing this cannot be harmed. So, and I guess they found out that he can't drink his own blood. I guess that would poison Mr. Worth. What do you think about that aspect of it?
well, I guess it works as a concept of a horror story. I guess similar things have been used, maybe in some vampire stories or something like that, although I can't remember a particular example right now.
So, do you think the characters should have been a little bit more fleshed out?
Well, possibly, yeah. I just wish the whole thing was explained more directly, more explicitly.
Ah, well, it was somewhat explained over time.
Yeah, somewhat, and over time, I just wish it was all more straightforward.
Oh, I'm I'm not sure because I feel like there was a lot going on. There was a lot that we had to swallow of the story, at least before we knew the full um, story. I guess I kind of like the mystery involved in figuring out, you know, bits and pieces over time.
Uh,
Um,
Yeah, in a way, yes. Well, like I said, it's actually my problem because, as I said, I have some focus issues, and when something is unclear, I never know if it's meant to be unclear at that point and explained later, or if it's just unclear to me because I missed something that I should have paid attention to.
I think if you mesh
Uh,
everything together, you can kind of understand the story. I mean, this isn't entirely a straightforward forward because we get you get this whole Nazi angle that apparently, and you don't even figure out that they sent like 8 other people to like 8 other farms,
uh,
till the very end. So it's like you get bits and pieces of the story, and you're just expected that these brothers couldn't leave well enough alone and continue to find these other characters and destroy them
mm,
in the end. So it's kind of like you kind of wish
like,
there was another a movie like a sequel or something like that to
well,
follow
yeah,
it up.
yeah, when they mentioned those other characters like Wirt, I did think it was like an announcement of a possible sequel, which I don't know, did they end up making a sequel or not?
I don't think so. I don't think a sequel came about. And this one, I'm just looking at IMDb. It has a rating of about 5.3 on IMDb, so it's it's got some stars on it. I guess I did like the. I did. I think if I had to say a favorite, I love the fact that he possessed a horse.
Oh,
I mean, that was pretty freaky. I mean, he possessed. I mean, he reanimated the corpse of a horse, and it attacked and carried the one dude outside the house, and stuff like that. I mean, and then it came inside the house, and like each time it was shot at, it wouldn't stop. It was kind of an undead horse.
yeah, the whole thing with horses reminded me a bit of the ring, I must say.
Well, and it wasn't just that. I mean, he resurrected the brother. He resurrected the father, all while being outside of the house. He couldn't come in, but these people and these animals could. So it's like he used the supernatural against them. So um, to me, I thought that was kind of clever. Um, to be able to do that. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of liked it. And the makeup and effects on the dude, that was pretty awesome. And the fact that he could tear his flesh off, and
Yeah, those effects were quite well done, I must say. It was rather gruesome to watch.
well, yeah. And I think that the wounds on the horse was actually a cool effect too. Um,
Indeed.
if you had to now, ultimately, they found out that they could use the blood against him, and evidently, Evan used himself, and I guess Lisa ended up. I guess incantationing his blood with being his own, and he poisoned him, and then his brother Victor um, tore a barbed wire fence right off a fence post and basically guillotined his ass and almost tore his entire head off while Evans stabbed the third eye out while his blood was poisoned.
Oh
What did
yeah.
you think about this ending here, where they were able to overcome Mr. Worth?
Well, for him it was well deserved. He definitely had it coming. I felt kind of sorry for the Walder family because they also died after that happened, but at the same time, it's also a logical ending because by that time they would have already died of old age if it hadn't been for the paranormal.
Well, yeah, there was that other aspect of the film that I think the normal watcher would not think about, but the fact that he had evidently whatever Worth had done, he'd suspended them in time because he needed them to capture his victims and shit. You know, he needed their help.
He,
And I think that's why he didn't kill them.
Possibly, yeah.
So ultimately, do you think it was a good film?
Well, actually, I think it was. Like I said, I personally had, I somewhat struggled to understand what was going on, but that's probably just my issue, and another person maybe wouldn't have the same issue. So just because I struggled to understand some things doesn't mean I have the right to say it wasn't a good movie.
No,
Someone who,
it can be a good a movie. I don't think it was a great movie. I do think it was a good movie myself. Um, I do wish that some things had been fleshed out a little bit more, although you definitely saw enough of flesh being
nice
torn
one.
off. But I thought it was entertaining. I liked the darkness to the character of Worth. I liked that the character seemed to be somewhat original. I did like the makeup of the character. I think that Michael Fassbinder definitely got the character down because basically he just was a monstrosity that could speak the language of whatever occultism was that he had learned over time, and he was pretty much um, at first I thought he was a decent person, but then once the story was explained a bit more, he's definitely more of a darker person, and I think
Pretty much.
because of the Third Reich's experimenting in the occult, um, I'm assuming that whatever this character was to have learned, he was supposed to have reported back to his Führer what he had learned also, or whatnot, And I think I realized what that skeleton was. That skeleton was his ancestor that he brought along. Remember, he had.
Yeah, something.
And according to him, his ancestors were Nordic or Viking. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think that's why these symbols were found on the farm. And I did like the world building. It did seem like this was gonna continue because of the fact that there were these 8 other places, but we never got that. It's now 2021. I'm not sure if we'll ever get one, but it's definitely an interesting story. I did like the symbols on the runestone. I did like. I don't know why, but it was kind of cool to see the fact that he found all these people in the area on the map, and it was like in the shape of the swastika. I like that angle of it.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
Well, I guess I guess, how do I say it in English? They seemed to want to include that symbol in the story somehow, but I kind of didn't understand how it was possible that those stones ended up in places that when you mark them on the map, they make precisely the swastika symbol.
Well, even that rune in the barn that had the swastika symbol on it. So
I-
I wonder if it was like a Nordic symbol of some sort, or that's what they were trying to imply, like
well,
ancient a Viking symbol or something like that.
Actually, I do remember hearing that that symbol already existed before the Nazis started to use it, and it had a completely different meaning, but I don't remember exactly where it's from. I think it was a Buddhistic symbol or something like that, but I don't remember for sure.
Hmm. Well, it would be interesting to look into what the swastika actually meant. Okay, so the swastika is an ancient religious icon in the cultures of Eurasia. It is used as a symbol of divinity and spirituality in Indian religions, including Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. In the Western
So
world, it was a symbol of auspiciousness and good luck until the 1930s, when the right-facing titled form became a feature of Nazi symbolism as an emblem of the Aryan race. As a result, the World War II and the Holocaust, many people in the West will strongly associate it with Nazism and anti-Semitism. The swastika continues to be used as a symbol of good luck and prosperity in Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain countries throughout Asia, including Nepal, India, Mongolia, Indonesia, especially Bali, Thailand, China, Korea, Singapore, and Japan, among others. It is commonly used in Buddhist and Hindu marriage ceremonies. I guess the word swastika comes from Sanskrit, svastika, meaning conducive to well-being. In Hinduism, the right-facing symbol is called swastika, symbolizing Surya, or sun, prosperity and good luck. With the left-facing symbol, it's called sawastika, symbolizing right or tantric aspects of Kali. In Jainism, a swastika is the symbol for Super Svanatha, the seventh of 24. Tirthankaras, spiritual teachers and saviors. While in Buddhism, it symbolizes the auspicious footprints of the Buddha. In several major Indo-European religions, the swastika symbolizes lightning bolts, representing the thunder god and the king of the gods, such as Indra in Vedic Hinduism, Zeus in the ancient Greek religion, Jupiter in the ancient Roman religion, and Thor in the ancient Germanic religion.
Whew.
So,
Wow. I didn't know all that.
but in any case, I guess it could be almost Nordic. I guess because Thor is Nordic or Viking. So,
Yeah.
but in any case, what if you had a favorite scene? What would you take from this film?
Well, probably the scene when they finally defeated Worth. Mm,
I like that scene, but I think like I said before, I think I like the whole undead horse scene, that whole coming back to life. I mean, I've never seen a horse come back to life like that before this movie. I mean, that is fucking wicked as all hell, you know.
well, good point. Yeah.
I mean that horse came, put its head through a window and grabbed a fucking dude out from the house and dragged his ass almost to the middle of the field. And you know, I mean, what horse does that? I mean, what horse attacks you like that? You know?
Mm, yeah, good point.
And then it came inside the house and it just wouldn't die. So I mean, it just kept getting flesh wounds. It was like, you motherfucker. Um, I um, I enjoyed that aspect of the film, and I guess I liked the mythology behind this. I don't know whether it was um, entirely all that believable, but it definitely connected a lot to the Nazism or the swastika. It seemed like they wanted to make sure that the swastika was like part of it all. You know, that the Third Reich was indefinitely like had its hand in the magic of these rune stones or whatnot. And, uh, definitely a German presence in this film. Uh, so. Uh, is there anything that you liked from the production standpoint?
Well, the special effects were pretty impressive. I must admit that.
Oh yeah, I think the special effects were pretty damn awesome in here. Let's
Yeah.
see. What did you think about the music? The music was done by David Buckley, and I guess he's done some of the composing music behind Jason Bourne the movie, The Town, The Good Fight, Papillion from 2017. Let's see what else. The Forbidden Kingdom from 2008. Monkey King and the Eight Immortals, The Ancient Roots of Kung Fu. Telltale. And that was before this. I guess he did From Paris with Love, Shrek Forever After the Game, some of the music in that. Book of Dragons, a video short. I guess he did some of the music behind Parker, which I'd mentioned that before. I guess he did the music for Killing Lincoln, which was a dramatization of the way Abraham Lincoln was assassinated.
Oh.
Let's see, Batman Arkham Knight. I guess he did the music for that particular game. The Brothers Grimsby. which in the Brothers Grimsby, that was a pretty cool movie. I liked it. It had Mark Strong and Sasha Baron Cohen. That's the only movie that I actually don't mind him in. Otherwise, Sasha is kind of a dick. I don't like I don't like his films per se. I know that some people get into his comedy or whatnot, and I thought that his Master Thénardier character in Les Miserables was a joke. But I know that a lot of people liked his comedy in Bruno and what was it? Yeah, he was Borat, and he was in the two Borat movies. But I guess he's been in a whole heck of a lot. I guess he was. I guess I could stand him in Alice Through the Looking Glass, and I guess he was Julian's voice in Madagascar. I guess I didn't mind him in Hugo as the station inspector. He was Pirelli in Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
Ooh.
But I don't like him in a whole lot, so it's hard to like him. But anyways, I think that's pretty much it, though. Did you notice the music at all?
Well, as far as I remember, there was background music, and it was fairly fitting for the story, I guess. But yeah, I didn't pay much attention, I must say.
Well, yeah, you were trying to figure out the storyline more than you were listening to the music. I don't think I really was paying attention to the music either. I know that it went with it. I know that it seemed to go with it, but if it were really something all that great or significant, you would think that I would remember it, you know?
Probably.
I mean, when you watch movies and you hear a particular song or a particular theme, like everybody knows the Halloween theme. You know, everybody knows that, or the music for Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, everybody knows that music, but. Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, did you think that? Well, this wasn't necessarily a slasher, or was it?
Well, I guess not. It doesn't really follow the formula of a slasher. Like, it's not a story where you just get a whole bunch of characters and they just get killed off one by one.
No, I guess this was a slasher film with a supernatural element in a sense. You know, because he was killing people. It had slasher elements, but it wasn't necessarily a slasher.
I guess so, yeah.
But other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Unless you can think of anything else for this film. Was this film anywhere close to Blood Creek Woodsman?
Well, it's much different from that. They don't seem to have much in common aside from the titles being similar and the directors having the same initials.
Well, it wasn't called Oak Creek; it was called Town Creek.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's all we have for today, folks. So hopefully you get a chance to check out the film. I think it's
Yeah,
worth at least a one-time watch, if not more. I thought it had some interesting elements to it, though. To it may not be as understandable as some other films. You'll have to catch some of the details as you go during the film. But
mm, yeah, maybe.
hopefully,
Wait,
go ahead.
yes.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say maybe I will watch it once more and try to figure more things out.
Yeah, I would. I mean, if you liked it enough to grant a rewatch or whatnot, you're more than welcome to. I mean, it's definitely not a bad film. I mean, it's got some elements to it and I didn't mind the rewatch. I just thought because it was a similar title to our last one, I figured we'd go on about it. So,
Yeah.
and it was an entertaining film from what I remembered. I just didn't remember all the gory details, and it was a little gory. It
uh, at particular moments, it definitely was.
so it did have a level of gore to it, which I thought was pretty cool. So, in any case, hopefully you get a chance to check the film out. Let us know down in the comments what you thought. I thought it was a good film. I don't think it was an entirely great film, but it definitely set up some things for a possible sequel that we never got. But it's worth a watch. So check the film out. Listen, give us a listen, and come back next week and listen some more. We'll have some more "I Spit on Your Grave" for you with the direct sequel to the original film. So
Oh.
come back with us and enjoy another chat. So thank you and have a great evening, morning, wherever you are. And
Yeah, thank you for listening.
good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.